here. All right, good evening and welcome. We are convened as the Provo City School District Board of Education. Today is Tuesday, March 15th, 2022. We are meeting at 280 West, 940 North in Provo, Utah. The time is currently 7 p.m. and we will begin with a roll call. We'll start down with Derek Anderson.
Derek Anderson, Business Administrator.
Gina Hales, Board Member.
Jennifer Partridge, Board Member. Rebecca Nielsen, Board Vice President.
Melanie Hall, Board President.
Keith Rattel, Superintendent. McKay Jensen, Board Member.
Terry McCabe, Board Member.
And we are excusing Nate Bryson tonight. Is there a motion to convene?
I move we convene the business meeting.
And we are in business meeting now. Before we begin the rest of our meeting, I just want you to notice that we have a lot of wonderful artwork around here, and I would like to ask Caleb to come up, and he's going to explain what all this wonderful artwork is.
I don't know if you remember last year during COVID, we had an art contest. We gave different prompts to the different grade levels to highlight things like why we wear masks, how we stay safe, things like that. Coming into this year, or last year, we worked with the art teachers very closely to do that. It went really well. We had the request to continue that this year, and so we did another art contest with all the art teachers throughout the district. The topic this year was empathy, and it actually included a couple different other groups this year. Jennifer and the Kindness Clubs got involved with some of them. I think you'll see a lot of Rock Canyon Kindness Club stuff up here behind the school board. You can see there's some ceramics in front of you from Timbu's ceramics class. There's one welding from Provo, I think it's Provo High Welding over here. And so this is just the results this year. So we set it up so that the board and the public here can see it all. And then it's something that we're looking to continue and keep growing each year.
Thank you. So if you have a chance at the end of the meeting or on your way out, feel free to look at this and all the amazing artists that we have in our district. Next, I'm going to turn the time over to Gina Hales for our opening remarks.
Last time I did a Hawaiian Oli, which is a chant, to have kind of an alternative to our typical, nothing wrong with our typical, but I wanted to do something a little different. This time I reached out to some of our Native American friends in the district, and they suggested that I sing and do the sign language for a song that was written by someone who, I think they've moved, but they used to live in our school district. Their children went to our school district. Grandchildren continue to attend our district, and the song is called Go My Son by Arlene Knopf-Chissy Williams, and I had the honor of being their neighbor for several years growing up. And so this has a personal meaning to me. But I decided to spare everybody. There's a reason I was cut from Living Legend, or not cut, I didn't even make it because I can't sing. And so I will spare you all that, but I'm gonna read the words and I want you to think about it. Those of you who are here on the board especially, I want you to think about where you are on this ladder, because I think everybody probably knows this. I actually was practicing this. I had a baby in one hand, and my husband comes out, and I've got a bottle, and I'm doing sign language with something. I was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I have the board remarks, and it didn't compute to him, which I completely get. But I'm going to read them to you. I'm not going to sing them. I'm not going to do the sign language because I would butcher it. But I'm going to read it to you, and I want you to think about where you are on this ladder. We probably all know the song. Where are you on the ladder, and what is it that you need to do, right? And I extend that invitation to the members of the board as well. So the words are, go my son, go and climb the ladder. Go my son, go and earn your feather. Go my son, make your people proud of you. Work my son, get an education. Work my son, learn a good vocation. And climb my son, go and take a lofty view. From on the ladder of an education, you can see to help your Indian nation. And reach my son, and lift your people up with you. And so, this is, a couple of things really quickly. She's saying go my son, but my daughter's or my whatever's works just as well. And it's talking about the Indian nation. So this is something that's talking about like a specific ethnicity or race, but I would argue that this applies to whatever group you're a part of. It could be abilities, varying levels of abilities. It could be religion. It could be sexual orientation. There's a lot of different tribes that we belong to, right? And so whatever tribe it is that you're identifying with, and we all have different tribes. I have lots of different tribes that I identify with. And I don't mean Native American tribes, I mean just tribes of different groups of people. And so as I've been preparing this, I've been thinking, where am I on the ladder with this group? Am I still climbing the ladder? Have I ascended the ladder? And if I've ascended the ladder and I'm feeling pretty comfortable, I need to look around and lift the other people up with me, but not just the people of my group. I need to look around to see other groups that I may not be technically a part of and see if I can lift them up with me too. And so I hope that we will, as we have these meetings and as we talk about all of the different things that are happening in the district, we'll look, what is our feather, right? What is the feather in our group, what's the feather? Do we have that feather? Can we help other people get their feathers? Does it matter if their feather is something that we don't necessarily agree with? Or can we still help people get their feathers and get their education and lift their own people up? And so I want us to be thinking about that. Where are you on your ladders with your different tribes? And how can you look around and help people in your specific group, but also outside of your specific group to ascend that ladder? And from the ladder of that education, be it a formal high school, college, university experience, or whether it be a trade school or whatever it is, how can you ascend that ladder? How can you help other people ascend that ladder, whether they are in your group or out of your group? And that is the message that I wanted to give for opening remarks.
Thank you. That was very, very well done. So next, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance by Gaines Okeson and Taryn Newbrest from Edgemont Elementary. They're 6th graders there.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Next, we get to do our Provo Way Awards, our employee recognition. I'm going to turn the time over to Jason Cox, our Deputy Superintendent.
Good evening, board. Again, we have a wonderful opportunity to recognize a great group of people tonight. I'm going to read their names and ask them to please stand. And in fact, I'm going to have you come up and join me because no one's chosen to sit on the front row. So come up and join me on the front row. So we have Tracy Arney, and we can give him an applause. Murray. Carolyn Hers, Elaine Heppery, Braley. And we have our video for you tonight. We'll go ahead and watch our video, and then afterwards, we'd love to let you thank them for their wonderful work. So.
We are the Provo City School District Celebrations Committee, and we are here at Lakeview Elementary to award Tracy Arney our Provo Way Award. So let's go on in and surprise her. We are here to award you the Provo Way Award to recognize your amazing work as a teacher in our district. So thank you so much. This is for you.
Tracy, I also have gotten to see Tracy as both a parent and an administrator. My son was in her class. And I just think that Tracy's one of those teachers where she's always quietly working, and she's not necessarily showy or like attracting a lot of attention, but she is the most patient person I've ever seen, and she loves kids so much. And this is her 33rd year, right? 32nd year in Provo School District. She's taught at Westridge, Amelia, and Lakeview in many different grades, and she's retiring this year. So we love you so much, and we will miss you very much next year.
Thanks, Tracy.
Hi, everyone. We're the Celebrations Committee, and we are here at Amelia Earhart Elementary School. We are here to honor Claire Murray and Carolyn Hertz, 2 special education teachers, as recipients of the Provo Way Award. Let's go surprise them.
This one. Oh, thank you. This is for you, Carolyn. Thank you so much for all you do for the school district and for Amelia Earhart.
And congratulations.
Larry?
Thank you. Oh, I love you too, John. Oh my goodness, can I give you a hug? Is that okay? You're my hero too, but I love you.
Amanda, do you want to say anything?
Thank you. You ladies do so much, going through so much. You do more than a normal teacher. We appreciate everything you do.
Yeah, I worked with Claire for last year and Carolyn for several years, and I've always been impressed with their optimism. They care about the kids, they're enthusiastic, and I think these kids are really lucky to have you for teachers, and we really appreciate all the work and hard work and service that you guys do.
Good morning, Provo. We're the Celebrations Committee. We're here at Westridge Elementary School, where we're coming to surprise Elaine Hepri, who is an EL para. So follow us.
We wanted to say congratulations, and we're so excited to present you with the Provo Way Award. We've got amazing things here that you do with the ELL kids.
We're so grateful to have Elaine here at Westridge. She works with our English language learners, and she meets with them in small groups. She knows exactly what level they're on, and she provides engaging activities and supports them to be able to grow. She challenges them to where we've seen them start to participate more in the classroom, which is really exciting. So I could go, I'm going to cry. So we are so grateful for everything that you do with our students. She works so well with the teachers. She communicates their growth, the students' growth, and just finds whatever they need. She's a true champion for our students. So thank you so much.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Lakeview. We're in the neighborhood today, we're the Celebrations Committee, and we're here to recognize one of our outstanding crossing guards. Jared's working right over here. We're going to go surprise him with this award.
Hi, Jared. I am Rebecca Nielsen. I'm from the school board, and I wanted to give you this Provo Way Award. That's for you, and just congratulate you and thank you for all of the many wonderful things you do every day helping our kids cross the street. So we appreciate you so much.
Well, Jared and I go way back, right? Since the beginning of the year.
Right.
Yeah. And he does an amazing job. And he doesn't always get the support. You know, people drive through the crosswalk. He's been yelled at a couple times, but he's here every morning on time. And he loves the kids, and we love you too. So thank you for being here.
Actually, I do the yelling.
That's why we like you, though, is you keep things in line, right?
Right.
So, no, we really appreciate you being here, and we wanted to make sure that you know that. Okay. So, thank you from all the Lakeview moms. Congratulations.
Let's give them another round of applause. The board members, a chance to thank you personally. We have the art in the way, so be careful. I think a little fist bump along the way, but we'll have you start right over here. Carolyn, thank you. And be careful of the cord, but we want them to get the chance to thank you for your work.
Thanks for all you do. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for everything.
Congratulations. Thanks so much. Way to go.
Congratulations. Good job.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. It is always such a pleasure to do the Provo Way Award and to acknowledge these wonderful employees in our district. We have so many amazing people, and it's so nice to be able to recognize them. Next, we're going to have a school report by Principal Harmony Karchner about Edgemont Elementary. Make sure I get this right here. There we go. Hello, thanks for having me today. I'm excited to tell you about some great things that are happening at our school, and I appreciate this opportunity to share this with all of you. So first of all, welcome to Edgemont. At Edgemont, we believe that all of our students can soar, and that SOAR stands for safety, having ownership of their actions, achievement, and responsibility. And we talk about that each day with our students through our PBIS. Okay, our Edgemont enrollment. So you can see that our enrollment has kind of fluctuated. Last year we had a little bit of a drop related to COVID. This year, we have had a huge growth, so over 100 plus students, and I actually just checked this number before I came tonight, and it's actually 650 now, so that's just in a week that has changed. And then I know there's about 5 more students that are coming next week also. So Edgemont is a great place to be, and people are wanting to come, and we're excited about that growth that's happening at Edgemont. Our demographics at Edgemont, you can see from the chart here, this is pretty typical since I've been at Edgemont. I've been there for 5 years now, and this has remained pretty steady through the time that I've been in Edgemont. It's pretty constant numbers. We also, our free reduced lunch runs at about 18%, which is a little down this year, and I think it probably is related to maybe some students unaccounted for since lunches and breakfasts are free for everyone this year. We're grateful for that. I think that's been a real benefit for our students through all of this, and I know our kids are excited about it, and they were really excited about the chicken and waffles today that they had, so they couldn't stop talking to me about it when I was in the cafeteria. Our English language learners run at about 10%, and our special ed students at about 12% of our population. We also have, this is our students that are choiced in boundaries. We have about 35% of our student population are choiced into our school, and our in boundaries are about 64%. Some of this typically has been due to, we have our French DLI, our dual immersion program that a lot of students choice into. This year though, we have found that a lot of our choice came to be in our English only classes, not just our French classes. So we call them our STEAM classes because they have a STEAM focus, which is of course science, technology, engineering, arts, and math focus in those classes. So we have seen the choicing not just come for DLI, but for both of those classes. And so that brings me to the number of students in each program. So in our English only or our STEAM side, we're running about 59%. In our DLI side, it's about 41%. This does include kindergarten, so when I pulled the kindergarten numbers out of there, because we don't start our DLI program until first grade, of course. So when I pulled the numbers, kindergarten out, our DLI ran at about 47% of our population, and our STEAM side, our English only class, is about 53% of our population. And as we look at our achievement data, and so I'll talk kind of through some of this because I have our data on our language arts, our math, and our science. So our scores, we've seen them grow. They've kind of been up and down, but we are seeing like a steady growth. We saw a little bit of change last year on a downward trend, and we'd like to count that definitely COVID. I know all of us saw a little bit of a hit last year for that. We're happy, we're proud of our scores. We feel like our kids are making really good progress. We're excited to see what happens this school year, now that we've had our kids all day, a whole school year. And we know last year with the changes in schedules, attendance, engagement, that all affected that. Our language arts, I feel like we did pretty good regarding all of that. Our math, we saw a little more of a drop than our language arts. Some factors may be due to in adapting a new math program and our students learning that. Also, when you have a revised schedule, you prioritize specific things, and language arts definitely becomes a priority. And then of course math is also, but the time to have students engage and practice with the math is reduced when they're not in school all day. But we're working hard this year to really make up the difference in that. And then our science scores over time. So you can see like the others, we run between the 60s and 75% of our students proficient in each of those areas. Our Edgemont Points of Pride, we have a space lab that is very immersive, and we work pretty closely with the company that runs the space lab. Their children actually attend Edgemont, so the program that we use for that, and I know that they're in several schools throughout this district, but we were able to work with them a lot. They pilot a lot of things with us, and we talk to them about needing not just to be a fun activity, but also to have engagement with the science, math, language arts that they're doing, that it's also embedded in the activities that they do in the Space Lab. We also offer coding with some robots, virtual reality. Something that we're really proud of is our Tier 2 intervention time. And this is an opportunity in math and language arts for our students to be retaught skills they may not have totally mastered in Tier 1 instruction. And we set a tight time in our schedule for teachers to have the specific time to work with the students. And we see students grow and progress because we are able to pinpoint exactly what they need, and I'll talk about that more in a minute. We have our STEAM classes, our English-only classes. They integrate our engineering and art. Our art teacher is, she just finished her master's degree in art. We fund her through our Beverly Taylor Sorensen grant. She's an excellent art teacher. We're looking forward to having our art show this year in April. We haven't been able to do that for the last 2 years, and that's a neat opportunity for parents to engage with our school and our community and see the great work that our art teacher does, not only just with teaching them art, but integrating science and other subjects into art learning. We have a really strong parent involvement and PTA involvement. They're getting ready to do our Edgemont Teacher Appreciation next week. And man, they work so hard. I don't know what we'd do without our parents and our PTA at our school. We have excellent and very competent teachers and staff. Like I said, we're a Beverly Taylor Sorensen school, and each year one of our staff members have been recognized for excellence by Beverly Taylor Sorensen. They've received the award through that since I've been there anyway. Since I've been engaged with Edgemont, I've seen our staff be recognized that way. We offer opportunities for acceleration, so not just intervention, but acceleration. We have several parent volunteers who run a Math Olympiad program, and if you're not familiar with Math Olympiad, it's a pretty intense math competition program that the students work in each. I think you know about it, Melanie, right? I think that I do know that they practice each week solving problems, and then they compete across the state and nation in math. And then we also offer 2 programs. We have Success Maker is math focused, and so is Reading Plus, and each of these programs is adaptive, so that it adapts to the student's skills, and then it goes all the way up to 12th grade. So a student may be in 4th grade, and they can learn the 4th grade math material, but then through this program, they can continue to accelerate their learning up to whatever they need. It'll meet their needs that way in both Reading Plus and Success Maker. Of course, we have our DLI French program, which is a point of pride, and our French students consistently score 85% or higher on the Apple test of French language proficiency. So we're really proud of the work that our teachers do there to help those students be so proficient in the French language. And then this year, our school was it was recognized as a U.S. News and World Report Best School 2022. And we're 22 in the state, so that was really exciting, and we celebrated at our school, and our teachers and staff are working really hard, and I think we wanted to recognize that work that they're doing. So, of course, like every school, we all have challenges. We like to think of them as things that become opportunities for us to grow. Of course, the challenge of having 2 schools within a school. We have the French DLI and then also our STEAM program. And some of the challenges of that come with scheduling, trying to keep the programs and the children united and parents united when they're on 2 separate tracks. And we have worked really hard as a school to bridge those programs so that it's not one is better than the other, but that they're both great opportunities that your child can have when they come to our school. Large growth of our population has been some large classes in our 2nd through our 6th grade. They range between 25 and 33 students in those classes. And so they've got quite large this year, but we're excited. Growth means good things are going on. Being more creative with budgets as a non-Title I school. And then, of course, the challenge everyone's facing this year is helping children recover from any COVID loss that they may have had in their learning. And so we put some strategies for increasing our student achievement at Edgemont. One is our Tier 2 systems. We always make sure that our interventions that we're using are research-based and will show growth of our students. We have our intervention team meetings each week. Our intervention team meets, not each week, every 2 weeks to review data from any of the intervention programs that we're using, and then we discuss how to help students move forward. We actually have a document that we keep as our admin team that has every single student on it in each grade level, and we have all of their scores from any testing that we've done. Beginning of the year, middle of the year, we have attendance on there also, any behavior concerns that we may have, and we look at that data, and we like to think about this. We try to think of ourselves like this. If you go to a doctor, they would prescribe a specific medicine to help with whatever ails you. We like to think of ourselves as education physicians, in that we look at data and we're able to pinpoint exactly, using all of that data and everything we know about that child, to help pinpoint exactly where there may be a hole or a gap, and then we can prescribe a way to fill it so then they can make progress and growth. And then we, of course, have our student success team meetings each week, and that includes our special ed teachers, our school psych, our social worker, district personnel, and teachers can bring students they have concerns about, either academics, socially, behaviorally, and we are able to brainstorm as a team to help support the teacher and that child. This year we started attendance meetings with our parents. We did see that there has been some increase in attendance of students missing more school than what would normally happen, and so we wanted to be able to bridge a relationship with those parents, find out what's going on, how can we help them, how can we support them to get their child to school. And those have been successful. We saw our tardies go from up to like 90 one day down to 10. So it ebbs and flows, but we did see that there was a difference when we reached out to parents and said, hey, we need your child here at school. What can we do to help you get here? We, of course, continue to disaggregate RISE data by student standard. I talked about this already, and then making sure that the systems we have in place to support students continue to be functioning and stable, and that we're seeing growth and with our students and their learning. And I talked a lot, so questions?
I have a question. Great things are going on there, and obviously people are coming. Right. Lots and lots. So where are we capped out at? Like where do you think the number is that you say, sorry, we can't take any more?
I don't have a hard time saying no, so I would probably just say if you want to come, bring your kids, because we have good things going on. Yeah, I don't know. We have room to grow. I do know it's hard to predict our kinder and first grade because we're not sure who's going to. We can know who's wanting to choice into our first grade program for French DLI, but then sometimes that changes. People change their minds, right? Or they might be invited, but they don't know. So it seems like our kinder and first, and kinder we can't predict who's going to come. So those are hard to me. We do have some room to grow in kinder and first. We have a little bit in second. Our third grade is packed to the brim. We have actually had to talk and say, I don't know if we have any room left in our third grade STEAM classes. So when they start getting to 33, they're both at 33 right now, it gets a little tight in the classroom. So even just fitting the desks in. So I don't know. That's a good question, Melanie. That's something I need to think about because I haven't.
We're getting close.
Yeah, thank you. Our fourth grade is full. There's a little room there. Our fifth grade is tight, and our sixth grade is full.
So a question along with the kind of attendance with your or numbers in your DLI. You start in first grade and then they graduate in sixth grade.
Yes.
What percentage drop off? Like how many kids do you see not finishing the program?
Not a lot. I see some of the population change that we see happen is from kids moving out. I would say majority of our students, maybe one, or maybe a majority of students stay, and maybe it's one, possibly two a year who say, you know what, this really isn't for me. I think I just want to do English only. I'm not going to do it in middle school or high school. I would say most stay. So,
thank you. Are there other questions?
So Edgemont has sort of you went over really quickly. You have 2 schools within a school, but that your choice into your English has actually been surprising because that has come up.
Yes.
Edgemont sort of has, instructed the whole district how to do that. What do you think is the success in making that what we've sometimes have referred to as the other program,
Right,
the English
right, the
only
others,
program
right,
in
yeah.
a
That's
DLI
what we're
school?
trying-
Why do you think that's become so visible and popular? Is it just by putting a specific label in it with the STEAM or with the science emphasis, or what? How has that gone so well, I guess?
So definitely, I think the STEAM helps. I think a lot of kids are interested in engineering and science. Sometimes that's what, I remember as a kid that got me to school because I loved science. I think there's a lot of factors. I think it's that. I feel like we have very competent staff that are very warm with kids, and also we call them the warm demanders. They have high expectations, but they still love and support those kids. A great community. There's just a lot of good things going on, and I think when good things are happening, word gets out and people want to come. So I do think the STEM is a big part on it. I don't know, they're good people there. I think that people want to come. So yeah, I don't think I answered your question.
That's good. I can tell you from what I know about education. Education is the most human endeavor in the world. And so anytime you measure success, anytime we see U.S. News or World Report, there's an instant assumption that I can meet, and that is that those must be good people. It has to be only those results, only popularity, only high move-ins, only space problems come from, that's evidence of good people. So congratulations on managing and
They're good people.
Good people. Thank you for that.
Thanks.
And please tell your staff that we recognize that those achievements translate directly into good people.
I'll tell them that. We have a faculty meeting tomorrow, so that will give them a little boost. March is hard. You guys all know that. So it's not hard. It's a challenge. March Madness is real. So and I'm not talking about basketball.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I guess we can blame your STEAM students on causing problems with Chad at the Timpview kids hacking and giving Chad problems.
What's that? I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
The Timpview,
Oh, because they're
learning how to code
yeah.
and everything. And then they get to high school and they give Chad problems of trying to hack through the filter.
Do they? Kids are sharp. They're savvy. They can open and close tabs faster than I've turned around and looked. So I always tell them to teach me their methods. But anyway, anything else?
Anything else? Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, guys. I
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Harmony.
Thanks for all
Good
you're
job.
doing. I really appreciate it.
Good job.
All right, we are at the part for public input. If you would like to speak to the board, on my right is a paper that we would like you to fill out and to hand it to our secretary, Bonnie. And then we will invite you to come up and speak to the board, and you'll have 3 minutes. Okay, seeing none, we're going to close our public input part. And next we're going to go into our business items. All right, we need to approve policy 1420, board meetings via electronic communication. Keith, do you want to speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, we had to make some adjustments to this. Like I said to the board in study session, we probably should have done this a couple of years ago, but we were so busy responding to COVID that we didn't really think about the fact that we were missing a statement in the policy about holding remote meetings. Still possible, all those things were appropriate and we were directed to do so in a number of areas, but anyway, the language has changed, and so we will be making that change. Board Member McCabe made a suggestion for a slight adjustment to wording, and we'll get that done, assuming the board approves this tonight.
All right, is there a motion?
I move that we approve policy 1420, board meetings via electronic communication with the change we made in the study session.
Motion made by Board Member Partridge. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Board Member Hales. Is there any further discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor indicate with aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Next, we need to approve out-of-state student travel. Superintendent, do you want to talk about that?
Yes, we have one out-of-state student travel. It's a little bit off cycle. It should have come last month, but the teacher was ill. And so Bonnie very graciously advocated for this, and we're bringing it forward to you to approve. This is a middle school trip to Dallas. It's a technology group from Centennial Middle School. And this will occur in June, so there will be no school days that are missed.
Is there a motion on this?
I move that we approve the out-of-state student travel as discussed in study session.
Motion made by Board Member Nielsen. Is there a second?
I second that.
Second by Board Member Partridge. Is there any further discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor indicate with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Next, we need to approve a large purchase request, and Derek Anderson, will you explain that one?
Yep, so this is a large purchase request from our CTE department for the CAPS program. This is gonna, they're gonna purchase furniture for that program to better facilitate the students that are attending and allow a better configuration currently than they currently are using, and also allow for more students to be able to join the program.
Okay, is there a motion on this?
I'll do it. I move that we approve the large purchase request for CAPS as discussed in study session.
Motion made by Board Member Nielsen. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Board Member Hales. Is there any further discussion on this motion? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Next, we need to vote on the bond reinvestment. Derek, will you explain that one?
Yep, so we just issued our bonds for the two schools that were approved. And because we're in the planning and process of those schools, we aren't anticipating any draws, like heavy draws, for the next little bit. And so what I'm proposing is that we reinvest those bonds into essentially highly rated securities as allowed in the Utah Money Management Act. If we just parked it in the PTIF or the sweep, we would maybe earn $300,000 to $500,000 in interest by reinvesting the bonds and having a waterfall draw schedule that lines up with the anticipated draws of the projects. We should be able to get about $2 million worth of interest over the life of those bonds that are as they waterfall off and we pay for the project.
Okay, is there a motion on this?
I move that we approve the bond reinvestment strategy as discussed in the study session.
Motion made by Board Member Jensen. Is there a second?
I second that.
Second by Board Member Partridge. Is there any further discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor indicate with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. All right, next, we need to approve the fiscal year 2023 school fees. Derek, will you explain that one?
Yep, so this is the new fee schedule for next fiscal year. It's been updated from all the schools as to the fees that they would like to charge, and so this is the second reading. Between the first and second reading, we have not received any input or any objection to the fees that are being proposed. So this is just kind of going through to meet the statutory requirements, because we do have to have this approved by April 1st.
Do we have a motion on this?
I move that we accept the fee schedule as presented for the upcoming FY 22-23 school year.
Motion made by Board Member Hales. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Board Member Jensen. Is there any further discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor indicate with aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. We need to approve the consent calendar. Is there a motion?
I move we approve the consent calendar.
Motion made by Board Member Jensen. Is there a second?
Second.
Second made by Board Member Nielsen. Is there any further discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor indicate with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Next, we'll have a board member report by Board Member McKay Jensen.
In your email, I just sent you a document, sort of a summary of the legislative money. So we've just concluded our legislative session, and all these numbers come from the people that are really in charge. That would be the legislative fiscal analyst, that most people don't know their name. That's Jonathan Ball, who is the legislative fiscal analyst overall, and the education fiscal analyst's name is Ben Leishman, that sometimes comes to some of our meetings. But whatever they tell the state legislator they can spend, the state legislature does usually spend. There are some exceptions that we'll talk about. So you can see that it says, $7.4 billion in funding that has gone into the Uniform School Fund. That means that it has been attached to public education, and it cannot be spent on anything else except for the public education system. That's the K-12 system in Utah. But that's what's in the fund. But they allocated $4.7 billion this year. So you can see where there are some wise things in having those rainy day funds, but you can see how large those rainy day funds are in that difference between 7.4 and 4.7. They account for some very, very rainy days. And that's a great thing. I often tell all the legislators that I complain that they don't spend enough on education in Utah, and every time I cross the state border, I say how proud I am of my state for the return on investment they get, the burden that they do not pass on to the public, and the results that we get. So what that meant for this year, there was an additional $465.5 million that were appropriated to public education. Year over year, that's 11%. In actual, what we feel, it's more like a 9% sort of total increase. That's a historic increase that you can think of. They had a lot of money to spend. You can see the priority that they do. That equates to a 6% increase in the WPU. In Provo, remember, we're basically 2% of the state's population. So when we see that 6% equals $219 million, so this is, 4.4 million basically in additional funds that come to our district in a budget of $180 million. So that 4 does not exactly mean 6% into our full budget, or a 6% for our teacher salary. There's work for us to do in that as well. But because the state often talks about the WPU unit, which they should talk about, is something to be really proud of, we often hear that percent, and then our teachers expect that percent, that 6% raise or 6% COLA. But we need to understand that that's only half, and where that comes from. And what the WPU value, you can see it went up from $3,800 to $4,040. They also funded growth. That was by law. So one of the things that in my work with the legislature that I was proud of is that before I started working with the legislature, I complained that there was no automatic math in public education, meaning that there was no automatic increase for inflation, no automatic growth, no automatic, that anything any dollar amount we got, we had to ask for, including just to ask to get back to zero. So student growth is now automatic. And so that was, basically $5 million. And they used a bunch of one-time money to cover growth this year, moving that fall projection. When you see that we are growing so quickly that our student population grows by about 0.5% for the state. This is what quick growth is. Explosive growth is Alpine School District. That's 1.7%. We do not grow at 1.7%. We are hovering. And so in planning, that's helpful to us when we hear, the panic over growth or what that is. And that presents real challenges for a large district, but we should understand that, really fast growth is below 2%. Also, something they fund automatically is that contribution to the Public Education Stabilization Account. That's for money that can be used in hard times, so that we get that growth and we get that value increase from inflation. They basically put $121 million new money every year into the bank. But then they say, well, if we don't need it, you can use it one time. That means that they had $250 million of one-time money that they could have used this year. Public education traditionally doesn't get one-time money. So to have this earmark for public education and say you could use it, there was a little bit of trouble in getting them to actually spend it. And so when they in fact they did spend it, they spent a little bit further down. They didn't spend the full amounts that they had, because this 248 basically had the same amount last year. They had 240 last year, so they had close to 500 million, but they held 1 year back and spent 296 million. Part of that is just for capital. So $94 million, so again, 2%, a little less than $2 million will be going in for capital, one-time funds that will obviously help with some of our construction projects, some of the things that we need, that's unexpected money, sort of. And so that's important. You can also see there's a line for special education, changing the formulas in enrollment and prevalency rates, meaning we can count more students as needing special ed services, and the state will fund that. We should say thank you to Marsha Judkins for that. She passed that bill 3 years in a row, and this is the first time it got any money. And so that's a really a great thing for that. There are several of these line items that, again, you can apply that 2%, so 2.3 million for period products in schools. We can do the math for all those things. But it was a historic year, but we have in all those things, it's a luxury that we manage so close to the bone in Utah education, because we are incredibly efficient. We can be incredibly accountable to our taxpayers. But you can see that this is a lot of money that they are invested. That means that we should say thank you, actually, to our state legislators. They get a lot of flack for the headline that we're the lowest funded, but you can see their priority. Their priority, for one portion of state government to receive basically a 10% increase year over year, that demonstrates a priority. And so regardless of how some of our legislators vote, you should say, hey, this was a good thing. This is important. We do grow. We certainly, we can see the potential, and because we manage so efficiently, we see the value of every dollar. I used to tell them that one of the most predictable things in education was if you spend $1,000 in adult education, you were going to get another GED or another high school diploma. And that would equate to basically another $80,000 in lifetime income and the taxes that go with that. They would return, you know, that $1,000 spent would easily return many times that in earned income because they got the promotion at a job site, from a framer to a supervisor because they had a high school diploma. It makes a difference. And just by spending that $1,000, I would go, why can't you spend a few more $1,000s and get in adult ed and get that GED or get those things, because it was predictable. But the way they do it is they're trying to balance all those good things. They've had a lot of challenges paying state employees, and if you have anything to do with the state hospital or addiction recovery services, you think teachers don't get paid very well. People working in those areas have been really struggling. But these are some really great things that I'm sure that when we go to our meeting tomorrow, you'll hear a little bit more about. One thing that you should also be aware of, you heard mentioned in the study session that the TSSA account, that's been an extra lump chunk of money that a principal and a community council could spend. That was a piece of automatic math that I was proud of that only lasted 4 years. They took away the automatic increases to TSSA, or the automatic way that would be funded. They didn't cut TSSA, and they like it, but I don't know if it will grow as quickly because there's no mechanism for it to grow automatically like it has in the past. It will be another fight every year. So the Amendment G automatic of growth and inflation are there, but that TSSA one, it went away. And also the equity pupil unit went away in automatic funding because they think they'll always have a lot of money to do that. But that will be something that we'll see, but our community councils, those investment funds obviously continue to do really well, and so they'll have lots of money to spend. It's just that TSSA account maybe won't grow. And but again, if you run into a legislator, say thank you. Our legislators do not always vote with us, but they love to take credit for everything that the legislature does together, and they always appreciate a thank you. And we do have, Marcia Jenkins does great things for education every year. Tell Kurt Bramble that our teachers don't work just 9 months a year. He still does not quite understand that. But he still, helps us. In my other committee position on MTech, I will tell you that MTech was granted $43 million to build a new campus in Payson. MTech received the second most money in higher ed, more than the University of Utah. So that was an interesting thing. They also received, they were told 5 years ago never to ask for O&M money, for operations and maintenance money. We asked anyway, and we were given $750,000. The way that affects is that they have had to do all the renovations of the Provo building, the courts building, sort of on money that they save other places. With that $750,000 to maintain that building, they will be able to continue their expansion. So they've sort of gone one floor at a time. So, and the programs that they offer, so they offered a special program for single mothers to get into health occupations. Every single person that attended, every single young mother or single mother that attended classes in the old Provo Courts building was hired by IHC. we'll be able to expand programs like that with that additional legislative money, that we won't have to, that we'll be able to, offer more courses, do more things, and that's here in Provo. And so those are good things to do too. So, and if you run into Keith Grover helped with those specific two things, both the Pacing Campus for MTech and then the O&M money that will help the Provo campus specifically. So give him some, he sits on the Higher Ed Committee, Appropriations Committee, and it's really important, so thank him if you get a chance. And that's my report. As boring as it is, money, as boring as $4.7 billion is, just so boring.
We appreciate you and Jennifer being part of the JLC and helping out with that this year. So thank you. Superintendent's report.
I can't top that one. But I will report that I have approved, in fact, it was a boys tennis tournament that occurred this past weekend. Provo High School took part in it, and it was in St. George. I did approve in-state travel for that. And then I also wanted to point out that this is hiring season. We're right in the throes of administrator hiring. 3 principals, 2 have already been hired. 1 is in process this week. A couple of other positions are also in process or have recently concluded. You'll see announcements on those soon, and we're at the front end of teacher hiring season. So it's a busy time for those of us who want to make sure that we can replenish our staffs both in district and in schools. And that's all for my report.
All right, we've come to the end of our meeting, and we'd like to thank you all for being here. And is there a motion to adjourn? So moved. Have a good evening.